Welcome to episode 2 of the Tennis Underground, where I'm bringing a familiar face, Brian, into this mix because, believe it or not, even though we are tennis coaches part-time, we're tennis players by hobby and by passion, we're actually not too bad with the finance, right?
I agree, yeah.
You work at a financial institution. I actually used to work at the company you currently work for as a financial advisor. But we're going to talk about why your tennis coach is broke or about to be broke. If your tennis coach is not like the top 0.005% of tennis coaches earning. And by tennis coach, I mean professional tennis instructors. I'm not talking about Tony Nadal or Roger Federer's coach, Ivan Lubicic. So your background in coaching tennis is obviously part-time, correct?
Correct, yeah. I only coach boys and girls high school seasons. And
Correct.
That's about it. Every once in a while, a few private lessons outside, but I only do it for the kids that are playing on my high school team.
Correct. So without disclosing obviously too much financial information, if you really broke down how much you get paid for a school year, right, those 12 months and divided by how many hours you actually work, obviously this is a public high school, so you're a public servant. So money's not going to be that good because you're not a congressman or congresswoman. I don't know what you identify as. So how much money would you say you actually make per hour coaching public lessons or in a public high school?
Oh, God, I'm trying to think here. It varies drastically. If you're an actual member of the school district, like a teacher, athletic director, something down that line, the salary range is going to vary quite a bit. For me, being that I work full-time job and then, coaching this, on my free time, it's probably somewhere in the range of $6 to $7 an hour is what I'm guessing.
Wow. So you're literally saying minimum wage, if not even slightly below it, given.
Yeah, below, right?
Wow. So that's obviously public school coaching, right? That's coaching either public high school. I think even in Wisconsin, they coach middle school for tennis. That's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, at least in the Milwaukee area we are in, the coaches that for middle school tend to go through their rec department and stuff of that nature, and they tend to use also students as their teaching pros or teaching assistants.
Yeah, and I honestly think that $7.50 to $10 an hour is good for a junior or senior in high school, or maybe even a college kid. Because that's just bar money. That's all it is. I mean, how much is it for a Miller Lite at the bars nowadays for a college town? Like $3.50? That's good. It's building up your resume. But in my opinion, as an adult, $7.50, $6 an hour? Imagine if that was your full-time gig. No bueno.
No bueno.
No bueno. No mas.
No bueno. You can't even make chef food with that.
So I don't think I've ever actually coached publicly in a public setting, like a university, at least not paid. Never coached high school. But I'm more than willing to disclose that at a few, actually in a club that I teach at in the northern part of Milwaukee, a very small indoor tennis center, 4 indoor tennis courts. And this actually is pretty universal, at least in the US. If you guys have not talk to a tennis coach when it comes to their financials, here's a full disclosure. The tennis center that I teach at, a private lesson with me, which is an indoor tennis center, pretty decent facilities, not the best, definitely not the worst. They charge $80 to $85 an hour for me. And guess how much I make off of that? 20. I make 25%. So $20 an hour is a livable wage as a 30-plus-year-old, but it's not glamorous at all.
Yeah. And what are the other costs in that they actually go to?
As someone that wants to take a lesson with me, I think they have to pay like a membership fee of, I think, like $100 a year, basically.
So they're not actually required to be members of the club. They can become like a temporary member just to take lessons?
Yeah, and obviously this is a very specific example, but that's the example for this four tennis court facility in Glendale, Wisconsin that I currently teach at. I only teach there like once a week now, just because it's free court time, it's whatever. But on top of that, so I brought up this article, a few articles, But one of them is actually very, very well written by my tennis HQ, Karu Sell, who was, I think, number 350 in the world for ATP at one point in time. So he had an article about how much do tennis coaches make. And a good amount of it is how much does a tennis coach that is touring with ATP or WTA pros actually make. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your everyday coach at your high school, your park district, your indoor, outdoor tennis club. But full disclosure, from what he said, a college tennis coach might start around $30K per year.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah, I think the weird part about that even is there's high schools in our area that the coaches make more than that, which is like,
yeah, Marquette University High School, which is highly prestigious. It's a private high school. Yes. So I'm thinking that this college tennis coach gig is either a public high school that doesn't bring in big bucks, completely understandable. There's a lot of programs like that out there, or they're only coaching either men's or women's team, not both, right? Because if you're coaching both teams, that's basically 1.5, if not 2 full-time jobs all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the same resources. You already have the same access to, your abilities, to your recruitment, because you already have a name for yourself. In one program, it's not that hard to translate to another, but you have to worry about recruiting for men's and women's. You have to worry about practice for men's and women's. You have to worry about managing and scheduling the matches for the men's and women's. But $30,000 a year to start. You can't even buy a new car with that.
Yeah, no
on
kidding.
that full salary, assuming you're not taxed at all. On average, as this My Tennis HQ article says, a college coach is likely to earn 35 to 50K a year, US dollars. What the?
Yeah, so then I guess, we have friends and that we play tennis with that coach from, the D5 perspective all the way down to probably, people in the D3 area, correct?
D5?
So like MATC.
Oh, okay, D5. Okay. So JUCO, junior tennis,
exactly.
junior college. Okay.
Stuff like that. I'm just kind of curious, like, do you know what the variation is in their salaries alone? Because they're technically doing the exact same
for full
thing.
time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the lowest of the low salary when it comes to full-time college coaching at the D5, aka the junior college level in the United States, $20,000 a year is probably the lowest of the low. I'm assuming maybe $15,000, depending on how lack of resources the program or the school actually has. And then something like Marquette University, not the high school, Marquette University, which is a prestigious D1 school. I'm pretty sure I heard from somewhere that just the men's tennis coach, this is unofficial, obviously, this is just rumors, is making 6 figures.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
You don't doubt it either, based on donations, based on everything.
And
they're a private college.
Yeah.
They have the ability to do that.
And I mean, you can also look at other sports for D1 and like stuff like that and just see how much like the prestige that comes behind being a D1 coach, whether it's basketball, tennis, hockey, like those coaches are going to make some serious bucks.
Yeah.
At those levels. But
it just happens that hockey in some states and basketball and football in most states are highly sought after. There's entertainment value in that. That's why, they could afford it. I mean, do I believe it's right? That's a conversation for another time, obviously, because it gets a little bit to a gray area. But just imagine, like, for most of these tennis coaches, the 99 percentile, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that they can't pick up another trade, like programming, learning social media. I'm not doubting that. But for someone that's like super locked in with coaching, managing, and recruiting tennis players in high school and or college, you're going to have not the most glamorous life in the United States. I mean, what other jobs in the Midwest US are making $50K a year by year 5, you think?
Jeez. I mean, you think about our profession, that's what you'd consider the entry level.
That might be
now.
intern level for software engineers.
Yeah. So yeah, it's rough to, make your full-time profession a tennis coach.
But it's passionate. It's hard. But unfortunately, that's just the way that unfortunately the way that the world works nowadays. But steering back to private coaching, like so non-private or non-public university high schools and high schools. Would you agree that there is more money to be made in private coaching? Kind of like what I'm doing, at least on an hourly basis.
Yeah, and a lot of this comes from what I'm allowed to do as a coach of a high school. I mean, I'm only technically allowed to coach for particular parts of the year.
Correct.
So, only during the season, never during the school year, and stuff of that nature.
Yep.
So, we as these high school tennis coaches really need the private sphere of coaching in order to allow our kids to progress. When we're not allowed to be hands on.
Yeah, and that gets tough too because like I think every single state when it comes to high school, let's talk about high school tennis, is very very different. Like you can't be on the same court as one of the kids that you are expected to at least coach during that high school season. Otherwise, if someone sees you, they could penalize you. Correct?
Yep. Yeah, and you've seen us when we've run into one of the girls or the guys that are on my team that are playing, and we just happen to be hitting next to them.
Yeah.
Very very low contact. I might say hi, that kind of stuff.
But you can't be on the same court and like, hey, let me fix your forehand.
And the funny thing is, it's like you always want to be nice to your student, even when you see them out of school and stuff like that.
You're actually nice to your students, unlike me. I verbally abuse my students when I see them in an Olive Garden.
Oh yeah, I bet. And I'm sure the extensive drinking habits and stuff like that are all installed upon your.
Oh, you would get the fettuccine Alfredo. Of course, you don't split step.
Hey, some big people like to move with that stuff too, so it's good. But yeah, no. But yes, like what I was saying is like you've seen me around students when we've been playing next to them. It's very just hey, what's up? How you doing? That kind of stuff. Like I legitimately won't even say anything about tennis because I mean that some of the people that are also working these clubs happen to be tennis coaches as well for their school.
So they're actually like looking for you to mess up or something.
You tote the line, but it's like you still.
Oh man. I don't think I could be a high school coach. Can you imagine if some of these parents' kids saw my shit posting Instagram?
I mean the OnlyFans account. You're the background check in general. I'm not sure if you pass. I just
they haven't found anything yet.
Yeah, it's definitely the OnlyFans account would get you.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ. But let's get into something that I have a little bit more expertise in, private coaching, right?
Yes.
So private coaching, I think at least in the Chicagoland area, Wisconsin, let's say the Midwest, right? Blanket statement. I think we start at like $15 an hour for private coaching right off the bat as like an 18-year-old.
That is absolutely nuts, knowing how expensive the lifestyle is in the Chicagoland area in comparison to the Milwaukee area.
Well, by Chicago area, I mean like the suburbs, not like downtown Chicago. And honestly, like, as I said, like coaching privately, the tennis club can bill anywhere between $90 to maybe $120 an hour for a private lesson. Obviously, it gets a little bit easier with group lessons. Obviously, I think that's a huge ripoff unless you're talking about a very, very specific number of tennis coaches in the Milwaukee area, which you and I can tell if a tennis coach, specifically player development, is like worth $100 an hour. I get it. And obviously, coaches only get a chip of that. People have to understand that, and people don't understand that. But let's say that let's say for the 75% of this individual's career that does private coaching, he or she makes anywhere between $25 and $35 an hour. Okay, fine. 40 hours a week, normal benefits, nothing crazy, 401k retirement, PTO, health insurance, which is mandated. Have you ever taught 40 hours a week in tennis?
No.
And tried to teach a normal life?
Never.
It's goddamn impossible. Now imagine, what was the most tennis you've taught in a week that spanned at least like 4 weeks? I'm talking both private and group.
Yeah, I would, and just high school related. Because the only time I could actually see myself teaching in like a bulk like percentage of time would have been during the high school year, because then the actual like private stuff that during the summertime I would be very like honestly maybe 1 to 2 hours a week only.
Really?
From that standpoint. But like when I come back to high school, then it's pretty much 2 hours a day for the week, right? And then
that's not bad.
Maybe 4 hours on a match day. So that's.
But coaching on a match day, which is it is coaching, but it's more like managing. It's driving to the place. It's making sure the kids aren't drinking alcohol or smoking weed in between matches, which apparently is a thing. I clearly missed out in those days. Have you ever caught a kid? Oh, don't get too like.
No, I have never caught a kid, but I have like heard stories of it, and this was actually before my coaching period. Like I want to say 2 years out of high school, I heard that kids were smoking weed before, and they got completely suspended from the tennis season and stuff of that nature. But yeah, it's a big deal in high school, and stay away from the substances, stay away from that stuff.
Wait, are you saying that tennis players have a drug problem? That sounds like another podcast episode we should do right after this.
I'll wear the same clothes.
Okay. So will I. In fact, I'll take my clothes off.
Oh God, help me.
Joking. But let's see. It's different, right? Because if you're doing a good private lesson, specifically player development, you're expected to, warm up with a kid, you're expected to give him instruction, you're expected to hand feed. But a good portion of it, for most lessons, you're expected to hit. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine hitting for 8.5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then going out there and hitting with your buddy that's a YouTuber because he wants to test a string or test new shoes? What a fucking asshole, right?
Yeah, tennis overload.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's why I don't understand why some of these, and God bless your souls if you're one of these tennis pros, why you're doing this 40 hours a week for your livelihood, your paycheck depends on it, and you're putting out amazing lessons. Good for you. And then you play on a state league match or you play in a USTA tournament. Like, you're freaking nuts. It's crazy.
That's passion is what it is.
It is. Yeah. I'm not that guy. That's why I limit myself to like 15, maybe 20 hours a week during the summer of private / semi-private coaching in public parks. But this is one thing I want to get into. Tennis coaches are not good with finances. Most tennis coaches are horrible with money. I don't know if you've noticed that. They also tend to get a lot of divorces, which may or may not be a money issue. It totally is. But tennis coaches are really bad with money. Have you noticed that?
I don't know. I mean, personally, from my perspective, is a lot of my money that I make coaching.
Yeah,
I donate straight to the PTA.
Good for you.
And stuff like that.
Why not donate it to my vacation fund?
Am I coming on the vacation?
Yeah,
we're gonna play tennis. Yeah, all right, maybe. I'll think about it.
My buddy Chris is an accountant.
That's
so
true.
He could write it off.
That's true. He could write it off. Yeah,
I could pay you with this podcast.
If Joe is listening, IRS, everything.
So, like, again, for a majority of these, specifically public tennis coaching, I'm not saying it's a horrible life, but it's a horrible life. I mean, you're not going to be going on vacations like doctors do, like once a year that you pay all-inclusive for with your family, your wife, your kids. Oh, by the way, if you're a doctor, your wife is totally cheating on you. So, also, if you're a tennis pro, your wife is also cheating on you. So it's just amazing, like, it almost seems like a higher calling because, yeah, you need money to live. I get it. But I wouldn't really put it past, like, it's a higher calling, kind of like with a religious job, like priesthood, pastorhood, being a nun, which obviously is like, I don't know how they ever get paid, but it's not the most glamorous lifestyle ever, and you're expected to do a lot of work. So, holy cow, I would never become a tennis coach full time. No. I would shoot my brains out.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. I enjoy my work life, my work to lifestyle.
Yeah. Because you play video games, you hang out with me.
It's all our place. Like I enjoy hitting, with you, Chris, all those guys. I enjoy, a good match every once in a while, that kind of stuff. And honestly, like you don't want to be coaching all the dang time, right? I don't like I pick my profession because I enjoyed it, and I picked tennis because I was an alumni.
I hate my profession. It just pays well.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't be as free as I can.
No, I like my job. So it is nice to be, to work your 8 hours, cut over, coach, and from the high school perspective and my perspective, it's both coaching, mentoring, and even just like in general, teaching. I also, outside of just coaching, it's just helping the kids with their ideas of career progression. And
I
stuff like
agree with
all
that.
that
Yeah,
stuff.
and
So it's
because
just
tennis is
nice.
a completely lifetime sport. But do you want to be that goody good two shoe angel, positive vibe, radiant sun of positivity at $6.50 an hour?
I could never do it.
Okay.
I could
That's-
never do
yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
just I don't even know how you'd afford an apartment in most places on a wage like that. So it's rough.
Tennis coaches, I think, deal drugs.
Experience?
Join us for the next podcast where we talk about tennis coaches and tennis players with drug issues. So if you guys haven't already, if you guys haven't realized that, if you guys want to see the video portion of this, which is in 4K, it's on YouTube, on my personal YouTube channel, Mark Sanset. And this podcast is on Spotify. It is on other platforms. Forgot. It's on Spotify.
iTunes?
No, it's called Apple Music now.
Oh, beg pardon.
Yeah, Apple Music. It's pending on Apple Music and Google Podcasts. It is on Amazon Music right now. So right now it is on Spotify and Amazon Music, and it is pending on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts.
You left one out.
Which one?
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans podcast. Can you just imagine the audio? It's like one of those things where you like call for a sex line.
Calling 1-800-MARK Sanset sex line.
Ooh, you touch my tra-la-la.
He is the chef of tennis.
Ooh, my ding-ding-dong. As always, guys, happy hitting.
Peace.